When addressing the issue of affordable housing, one London charity's been thinking outside the box. But when it comes to their solution, it's what's inside that counts. Meet the MyPad, the shipping container that doubles as a low-cost home. Renting in London is particularly expensive, and once again we've seen rents hit record highs. So we're going to go up and take a look inside and see what this is all about. Hello,
hi.
Louise. How are you doing?
Nice to see you.
Thank you very much for having us. So
yeah.
This is the MyPad.
Yeah, this is the MyPad. As you can see, we've got a desk here.
Inside, the MyPad's been designed to provide those who need it most with affordable, independent living. And at just £75 a week, the MyPad's certainly cheap by London standards.
I think it's difficult for anybody right now to get a comfortable accommodation at a good price without getting, you know, paying extortionate amounts of rent.
The project's the brainchild of Timothy Payne. So this is a shipping container from China?
This is a shipping container from China. It's a brand new one that's come over on a great big boat to Tilbury.
The project's already received planning permission and funding is expected to come from the Greater London Authority. Initially, this project will be solely for the young people the charity works with.
Society just takes the carpet out from under them, because the moment they get into work, they can't afford to live in a hostel and they can't afford to live anywhere else. And it just doesn't make any moral or any economic sense.
As an idea, the MyPad is brilliantly innovative. It's been designed as a quick fix. Now, there's planning permission for 30 more of these to be built next year, but predictions say that if Britain continues at its current rate of building, then by 2020, and we face a shortfall of 2 million homes in the UK. So you can see the scale of the problem, and it's why what started out as a local temporary solution could end up becoming a more permanent fixture. Sara Firth, RT, London.
I want the activists on either side of the vehicles giving out the Christian patrol leaflets.
There's a new patrol in town. Hot on the heels of the small but notorious Muslim patrols, a new political group calling themselves Britain First have responded by forming what they've dubbed Christian patrols. And this patrol comes complete with armoured vehicle.
Bomb-proof, they're bulletproof, the whole thing is armour-plated.
RT joined them as they took to the streets of East London. Where are we heading, Paul?
We're heading down the Whitechapel Road.
Why that area in particular?
Because that's where a lot of the Muslim patrols have been happening. There's also what you can call the heart of Muslim East London.
The group have been described as far-right. Many of their members are former BNP or EDL, but they're eager to differentiate themselves from these groups and insist they don't want to be associated with violence. But tactics such as baiting, where members stand with empty beer cans to try and lure out the Muslim patrols, have proven controversial, and some members of the group have already faced arrest.
We're not here to cause problems for anyone other than the violent Muslim extremists who are carrying out these Sharia patrols. We're only there to confront them, and that's it.
Do you think the Christian patrols are intimidating?
No, I don't.
Despite having openly condemned the Muslim patrols at the time, the East London Mosque has been singled out by the Christian patrol for criticism. The mosques say they feel caught in the middle and are worried the patrol could inflame fragile community relations.
Our community certainly feels threatened by his antics, turning up to any part of the country in an armoured Land Rover is certainly putting across a strong message. What the public needs to understand is that none of these groups represent the mainstream community or wider society.
Out on London streets, and well, there's not much support to be found here either.
Christian patrols stopping the Muslim patrols.
You shouldn't have this. You shouldn't allow this. I'm sorry.
I don't think there should be any patrols.
No patrols whatsoever?
No.
Yeah, it'd be a lot easier.
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much for that. Do you think it's all going to be completely peaceful? here on in, or do you think there are going to be moments where...
No, obviously I think there's a potential for trouble. There always will be. There's nothing we can do to avoid that, but...
You could not patrol?
Yeah, what, and then just leave these members of the public to be harassed by the Sharia patrols?
But the Sharia patrols haven't been operating in this area for some time now.
Well, that's not what we're being told.
Since a number of arrests last year, the Muslim patrols have gone to ground. It's unclear if their patrols are actually still operating. That will likely come as some relief to police and community relations workers in this diverse area of London, that despite the Christian patrol activity, the Muslim patrols have so far not taken the bait. Sara Firth, RT, London. Here at the NATO summit yesterday, we heard Ukrainian President Poroshenko saying to NATO leaders that he was cautiously optimistic about the possibility for that ceasefire plan. Now, the caution certainly will have been echoed by the NATO members gathered here. The optimism, I'm not sure so much. We had the Secretary General saying that previously these deals had been a smokescreen. So I think very much that's a wait-and-see situation. At the same time, outside the summit, you are going to have the potential for the EU and US to hit Russia once again with very heavy sanctions. Now, we're actually hearing indications that those sanctions could go ahead regardless of whether any ceasefire does actually materialise. So a lot of potential today for us to see real movement when it comes to the situation in Ukraine, which has, of course, been top of the agenda, top of everyone's minds and top of discussions here throughout the NATO summit so far. We're just showing you what's going on the street just off Taksim right now on the Gezi anniversary here in Istanbul. You've got the police on the streets. It's thought 25,000 police drafted in from all across Turkey and a really large presence here today. Now at the moment you've got some protesters you can just see in the background here gathering, and you can hear some of the chants. We're heading to the area where the reports of armed gunmen shooting in the streets have been coming from, and actually just a few minutes ago we had a Nigerian military van pass by us. We weren't able to film much of it because the military do not want you filming them, but this raises extremely serious security implications. Well, Borno State is a Bahari stronghold, and when you talk about politics to the people here, they're very supportive of the former military leader.
It's very exciting. It's wonderful to see this democratic transition.
And what do you think about Nigeria's future? There's huge challenges ahead. Do you think the new president can deliver?
Well, everybody's going to work on them, and I think that begins today, or it began with the election.
And how is the US planning to help?
We're going to be as helpful as we can be.
Well, with the UN observers in Idlib, and there's been some pretty heavy gunfire going on throughout the night here. Now, whilst the government seemingly has very tight control of the central area, out in the rural areas of Idlib, and the fierce fighting's continuing. Throughout the course of the conflict, it's been hard to come to some of the areas where the fiercest fighting's happening and get a gauge of exactly what the situation is on the ground. The UN observers travelling to some of these areas have given some access. We're in one of the suburbs of Damascus at the moment. Now, we were travelling to a suburb called Terma. We thought it was a slightly safer area to visit, but we just received a phone call telling us that it's not safe to travel there at the moment. With the situation so volatile, it goes to show you really that you simply don't know what's going on in these areas. Even the people who are living in these areas don't really have full grasp of the situation at the moment.